Good night, people. Good day, good evening, good morning. It is now 12:40 in the night. I ate very late. I ate before. I ate very late. You may hear me passing gas in the middle of these videos. It's just because I had to eat again. I'm gonna be going to sleep soon. I might fall asleep on this video. No, I'm just joking. As you can see from the topic, wars commence on Triple G's win, and also, as you noticed, we can also talk about Triple G's resume a little bit. Um, there's a reason why I'm going to do this, and so you guys bear with me. All right, why am I going into Triple G and talking about Triple G? Bottom line, Triple G is overhyped, and I gotta be as honest with you guys as possible. And this guy's career is almost over. Triple G has tops 2 more fights left in him. Tops. That's the truth. He has taken ridiculous amounts of punishment in the last 4 fights where he's faced elite fighters. Ridiculous amounts of punishment. He's not going to be able to take that. He may have one easy fight, and then he's going to have one more big fight, and that's it for Triple G. That's my thoughts on him. He's not going to last very much longer in this business. And Andre Ward speaks to that. Andre Ward, in his statement, spoke about the fact that if he got hit in boxing with more than 2 punches put together, his trainer was livid. Virgil Hunter would be livid with him. He would be mad because defense is so important in boxing. Because the longevity of your career in boxing is hinged upon not getting hit as much. Not only not getting hit as much, but more importantly, not getting hit by the heavy punches as much. Sometimes a fighter sets up a shot and you see the shot coming and you're able to defend against that. That's the most important thing in boxing. Triple G has not been knocked out. Worse than a knockout is accumulation of punishment, especially by a boxer who can't knock you out. Now, I listened to G Funky, and G Funky was saying how Derevyanchenko was landing these pity-pat punches. And it kind of rubbed against a nerve that was exposed in my body when he said that, because that's the problem with some boxing fans. They do not understand what they're watching. Because you're not feeling those punches, you think they're pity-pat punches. It reminds me of Andrew Ward versus Sergey Kovalev, where people were saying that Andrew Ward was hitting with pity-pat punches. It reminds me of Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, where people thought that, and people mocked that Floyd was a pillow puncher. It really annoys me because these same people will not take a shot from these boxers if set in a ring to face them. Okay? That's one thing to say that Triple G is a tough guy. But it's another thing to denigrate another fighter by trying to say, oh, Derevyanchenko was just throwing pity-pat punches. Because he wasn't. Was he landing some shoot shine in there? Yes, he was. To set up the heavier punches. Right? The hooks, the overhand rights. So sometimes on the inside, you keep Golovkin occupied with shoe shine. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Shoe shine. And then he would come with a spleen shot, a liver shot. They always pivot to get the liver shot. So he would be to the side of Golovkin because he would line up the liver shot to get the overhand right on Golovkin because he pivoted around. Okay. So those shots, the next thing I heard, and I was watching at the people who are diehard Triple G fans, like the reality of what happened in the fight, they are not even concerned with. You have people who are fans of boxers, and then you have people who are fans of boxing. And Sometimes we can be a fan of a boxer and just see things a certain way, and it's okay. We could be a hater of a boxer as well. I may be guilty of that. Some of you will say I'm hating on Triple G. And you may be right because I don't like the guy. I don't like him. I can't say I hate him personally, but the image that people are portraying, I know it's a fraud. I know it's fake. I listened to Coach Shelton Harris with his live feed just recently there. I agree with him 100%. He was livid about it. And I think he wants to expose that built up persona of Triple G. First, they built him up as this monster. Remember HBO built him up as a monster? Remember that? And now that he's in his decline, don't forget to smash that like button. Now they're saying that the monster is slowing down and he's aging. Right? And I put out a video by Andre Rozier, and I put out a video with Demetrius Andre to debunk that myth. And I myself have debunked that myth. Right? I don't claim to be the be all and end all of boxing. You guys say I'm, some of you guys respect me like that, but I'm not. I'm just a boxing fan. But there's certain things that are lies. They're not true. They're not true. Okay? And if you just know a little bit of boxing, I was talking with you guys this morning about the fact that this is professional boxing. Okay? And some people say, a boxer gets very old in the ring overnight. No, it does not happen that way. It never does. All right? What happens is all the signs and symptoms are seen in camp. In fact, sometimes years, those signs and symptoms are there. But people choose to ignore them because they want to get paid. Gennady Golovkin's at the end of his career where he can now get the big fights. And he can get paid. So obviously, they're going to push through with these big fights. But all of these big fights are difficult. I listened to his trainer, Jonathan Banks, say that Derevyanchenko's style was the wrong style for Triple G. It was the very, very difficult style. I listened to him. And that alone in and of itself showed Jonathan Banks didn't want to fight for Triple G. Showed exactly what we saw in the ring. I predicted this because I had watched that Derevyanchenko and his style. A lot of people focus on the Kulke fight, but I looked at the Kulke fight and I realized Derevyanchenko was working in that Kulke fight. Jack Kulke was not able to throw punches in a number of rounds because of Derevyanchenko's offense. Kulke had defense, so it made it a little harder for Derevyanchenko to get around him and move on him and land the normal shots he would normally land. Having said that, I am saying to you right now, Andrew Ward was speaking about defense and not getting hit. Andrew Ward went on to say, these things, it's too late to try and change these things now. And it's the same thing Coach Eric Bradley was saying concerning, I don't know if you guys went and watched this video, but the same thing Coach Eric Bradley was saying concerning Golovkin and concerning anyone who wants to begin boxing. It's one thing to demonstrate it. It's another thing to actually have to do it in a ring. And it calls for muscle memory, which means repetition, doing the right things over and over again until it becomes a part of you. Because you don't have time to think in that ring like that. And even if it's a thought, the thought comes and you be able to act on it. It's kind of almost instinctual, but it's really a thought process. But nonetheless, it's instinctual. It's like fighting. We learn in martial arts how to do certain moves, and we repeat them and 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 repeat them. So that in an actual street fight, we're not thinking about what we're going to do. We just do it. All right? Okay. So I wanted to go through that because I want to show you evidence again of this. Not only evidence of this, but some other facts because they lied to you about a number of things. One of the things they lied to you about was they said that Gennady Golovkin has had 20 title defenses, championship title defenses of his WBA title. Truth be told, Gennady Golovkin during that time was a paper champion. I'm going to show you the evidence of what I'm talking about. Let me see if I can flip this camera here. I just did. Okay, that's the television in front of you there. But I'm not going to be able to display it on the television. I'll have to display it on this phone here. Can you see that? Okay, let's see if we can adjust the... It'll adjust the zoom. There you go. So that's Gennady Golovkin there. I'm going to take this now and I'm going to turn it down to the floor. Ah. All right, the zoom will adjust. There you go. Bingo. Okay, so I want to show you something. So Gennady Golovkin became a world champion here. Against Milton Nunes. This is what I was showing you guys before. Okay? The interim WBA World Middleweight title. And this was back in 2010. All right? Now, what's interesting, why he was the interim WBA boxing champion, I want to show you why. To be able to do that, we'll type in the name Felix Stern. Who was, by the way, another long-reigning champion. Okay. That's Felix Stern there. He had been beaten by Oscar De La Hoya, but not really. It was way back in the early 2000s. But this guy was world champion. He was WBA World Middleweight Champion from 2007 when he beat Javier Castillejo. Javier Castillejo was a great champion himself. I think Spanish guy. Anyway, he beat Javier Castillejo. Had a number of defenses. 2008, 2009. So in 2010, he was still world champion. That's when Gennady Golovkin became interim champion. Okay? But he went on to become super champion, as you can see right here, when he faced Giovanni Lorenzo in September the 4th of 2010. Okay? Beat Tommy Hearns' son, Ronald Hearns. He beat Matthew Macklin by split decision. That's why we talk about Matthew Macklin. This was back in 2011. He beat Martin Murray in 2011 by split decision. Okay? He went on to beat Sebastian Zabik, and then he lost to Daniel Gil. Okay? Daniel Gil was the IBF middleweight champion, so he lost to him in the unification by split decision. September the 9th of 2012. All right, so in 2010, he became champion, and in 2012, sorry, not 2010, sorry. In 2008, he became champion. In 2012, he lost his title to Daniel Gil. All that Daniel Gil then was the super middleweight champion then. All right, and this is September of 2012. Why that's important, I want to bring that to your attention. And why that's important is because I'm going to go back a little bit to Golovkin's resume. And in 2010, Golovkin became champion, but Felix Stern was world champion. All right, now he was promoted to regular champion, facing Nilson Julio Tapia, and mainly because Felix Stern was promoted to super champion at that time. So all the way up to 2012, Gennady Golovkin, when he faced Grzegorz Proska, all these fights here, he wasn't the real world champion. The real world champion was Felix Stern. So how many fights did he actually, as a world champion, defend? So we go from Gabe Rosado. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Unified there. 10, 11, 12, 13. 14 successful defenses before he lost to Canelo Alvarez. So in truth, he really has 14 successful title defenses of the WBA championship because he was the real WBA champion there. Okay? That's the truth. So when they say he had 20 successful defenses, it's a lie. I just wanted to bring it to your attention so you would know. Don't forget to smash the like button if you're watching this video. And feel free to comment at any time. I point this out for another reason. The second reason is Triple G was seen as a great defensive fighter because he wasn't getting hit, because he had offense, and the people who were dealing with him couldn't handle his offense because they didn't have good defense. Let's look through some of these people. So when we look at Triple G's opponents, I think I'll just call them out right here. Steve Rawls, undefeated fighter, way out of his league. What did Triple G do to him? Stopped him, right? He got hit with some punches, but he was stopped. Basically, Steve Rawls had a great second round. The fight only went 4 rounds. Don't forget to smash that like button, people. Let's work our way back. Vanes Martirosyan, good fighter at 154, but he decided to bang with Triple G and feel his power. And he felt his power. He said Triple G boxed better than he thought. He felt his power. He was knocked the spark out. Again, not elite, especially not a middleweight. Vanes Martirosyan having his first middleweight fight. Kell Brook, an elite fighter, but not at middleweight. His first fight at middleweight coming up from welterweight. Kell Brook gave Triple G a lot of problems as well and also tagged him up. But once again, too small, not acclimatized to the weight. He got stopped. Triple G broke his eye orbital. His defense wasn't always on point. Dominic Wade. Dominic Wade was also a middleweight, undefeated, a prospect that turned contender, highly inexperienced, and he got knocked out. David Lemieux overachieved for himself after being stopped by Marco Antonio Rubio. Went on to win the IBF title against Nassam Endam. Both guys being, Nassam Endam being an okay boxer, a tough guy who would not go down and get knocked out. Dave Lemieux being a brawler with power, very active, throws a lot of punches, trying to box Triple G. Triple G stopped him in the 8th round. Willie Monroe Jr., once again, a guy coming up from 154, entered the tournament, became 160 champion, and then faced Triple G. A guy that Sean Porter beat. Martin Murray. Martin Murray gave Sergio Martinez all he could handle. A tough guy who also gave Felix Stern a tough fight. In fact, he fought a draw with Felix Stern. But that was several years before he faced Triple G. Nonetheless, Martin Murray went 11 rounds with Triple G. The referee stopped the fight. He landed a number of shots on Triple G. Do you understand what I'm saying? Throughout the fight, he just didn't have enough pop to do anything really to Triple G. Let him respect him. Marco Antonio Rubio, the guy that stopped David Lemieux. He was stopped rather quickly with a punch to the head and an uppercut. Rubio had no punch resistance whatsoever. Daniel Gill, the guy that beat Felix Stern. He had beat Felix Stern, and then he went on to become unified champion for one fight, and then after that, he went on to defend the WBA championship, which now Gennady Golovkin had. He lost it to some fighter. I can't remember whose name. And this was the year after that he faced Triple G. And he lost by knockout. Adama Osumanu. Who? Good question. Curtis Stevens. Curtis Stevens for Gennady Golovkin in 2003. He had a lot of power. But Curtis Stevens, before he even faced Golovkin, had been beaten by an unnamed fighter, beaten by Andre Durrell, and knocked out by another unnamed fighter named Marcos Primera. So he had lost to any named fighter. He was a C-class fighter, and Triple G treated him appropriately like that. Matthew Macklin was a good fighter, gave Felix Stern a split decision win. Felix Stern won by split decision. Gave Sergio Martinez a good fight as well. But once again, Matthew Macklin did that years before he faced Triple G. He was stopped and knocked out cold. Nobuhiro Ishida was a 154-pounder that moved up and faced Triple G, and he got stopped. Gabriel Rosado was a 154-pounder, a named 154-pounder in Triple G's career. He was stopped. Gregory Proska, who? I don't know. He was stopped. Makoto Fujigami, who? I don't know. He was stopped. LeJean Simon, who? I don't know. He was stopped. Kasim Uma gave Triple G a good, tough fight, and is always going to be remembered for that because he's now a journeyman. Nelson Julio Tapia, who's also a journeyman from Colombia, gave Triple G a good fight as well for 3 rounds. He was stopped. And Milton Nunes, where Triple G began his championship career. I don't even know who that guy is. He was stopped. Triple G dispatches of guys who are not top-tier boxers. Now, a lot of people say, well, Triple G, he couldn't get these top-tier boxers to face him. Well, he's facing them now. Same Triple G, right, that faced Kasim Uma. Same Triple G that faced Matthew Macklin. Same Triple G that faced Kell Brook. We see that because what? When you bring a fighter of a certain level who doesn't have certain fundamental backgrounds, is probably not a 160-pounder, has not built up strength and conditioning to deal with Triple G and his punch power, he dispatches of them. Right? And so it's a fraud and a lie to say that Triple G, has gotten older. He's not the same Triple G that we know. He's the same Triple G once you put the opposition in front of him for him to do his thing. While he was in his prime, he didn't want to face Erislandy Lara. He didn't want to face Andre Ward. He didn't want to face Carl Froch. He didn't want to face James DeGale. He didn't want to face Danny Jacobs, who was in the same division as him and was calling him out. Right? These guys wanted him. He didn't want to face Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs was saying, I have no problem. Danny Jacobs crossed over to HBO to get that fight with Triple G. Because Danny Jacobs wanted that fight. That's how that fight happened. Triple G wasn't crossing nowhere to go see Danny Jacobs. Yeah, he talks about Cotto ducking him. He talks about Canelo ducking him. Yeah, but you ducked a lot of fighters too. You called out fighters. You mentioned people's names. You called out Ward's name. You called out Carl Froch's name. They respond, and all of a sudden you're not dealing with them anymore. I listened to Tom Loeffler talk about Billy Joe Saunders and how he turned, as if they were trying to make a deal with Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders, they were working in negotiation. Billy Joe Saunders wanted to get a fight with Triple G. What happened? What happened? We all know what happened. Triple G didn't want to budge in the negotiations. Triple G wanted everything to be his way. Billy Joe wasn't having that. Right? I got one more. And I'm going to show you guys just how much this guy been hyped. So Triple G, everybody says he's this great boxer with great defense, great head movement, all that shit, which we know never was true. It is what it is. Is he a brawler? Is he a banger? Yes, he is. He got a good jab. He tries to land hooks to the body, and so on. But nobody's talking about the fact that HBO called Triple G. In fact, they say it even to this day. One of the greatest middleweights of all time. And they base it on the fact that Triple G has had this long knockout streak, and also that he has had all these defenses of his WBA title. That's what they base it on. We all know he wasn't world champion in the WBA until Felix Sturm was beat by Daniel Gill, and then Daniel Gill dropped the WBA super champion belt. That's the only time when Gennady Golovkin became world champion and was recognized world champion by default. He never beat the man to become the dude. So, as his career progressed, the matchmakers brought him up with tougher and tougher competition. You can't say that for Vasily Lomachenko, and you can't say that for Derevyanchenko. Those two guys have already started being matched tough early in their careers. Okay? They're the real deal. Kovalev has been matched tougher than Triple G. Right? Kovalev's got Jean Pascal twice. Andre Ward twice. Bernard Hopkins. He's got those names. Faced Elita Alvarez, who was undefeated. He got knocked out the first time, and then he come back and right the wrong to beat Elita Alvarez. Now he's getting Canelo. That's another name. He's doing better than Triple G. Triple G is a hype machine that was made by the media. Just as how Sergey Kovalev, the Crusher, was created by the media. But in his case, it was main events that was pushing him. And in Triple G's case, it was Tom Loeffler and his promotional company, along with HBO, Jim Lampley, and now DAZN. Jim Lampley said if Triple G loses to Canelo, he should consider his career a failure. Well, his career is a failure. So is HBO with their sports programs. It's failed. Because they built everything in boxing around Triple G. And now DAZN's going to try and do the same. And it will fail. Put it around Canelo, Derevyanchenko, if you don't like black fighters. The other interesting thing that I thought I should mention is that Demetrius Andre went into the ring to speak with Triple G, call him out, and guess what? The DAZN commentators and reporters ignored that he was in the ring. Demetrius Andre should have just photobombed everything, or video bombed everything, and just step up to the plate and talk with Triple G. He didn't do that. He did jump in the ring though. So, what I'm going to say to you guys is this is a fix. Derevchenko was never going to win that fight. And Triple G, they're creating a narrative for him and they're going to try and finish that narrative. However, which way they can, they'll spin it. But you guys know much better. You guys probably know your boxing. Anyways, I wanted to just share that with you guys. You guys have a good night. God bless. Peace.